Hey, it's Tuesday night. Guess what night it is? It's night for a Homestead update and live chat with everybody. Hope y'all had a good week. Lynn's in here. Gregory's in here. Hope everything's going well up north of us. Jane just popped in.
Hey.
Let's give it a couple other minutes and let some other people chime in. Well, it was a good week around here.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Stick tight on my shirt.
We had company.
Rose is here.
Hey, Rosie.
Yes, we had company. So what happened this week that was of interest?
Well, Skane's girl came and she brought the grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandkids couldn't make it. So it was kind of nice to live vicariously.
To a point.
Well, yeah. No. Well, here's the deal. She took care of all the drama.
Yeah.
I just had to holler and say enough. So it worked out pretty good.
No, it was a good visit. It was a good visit.
Yeah.
Half a bubble off plum, best name on the internet.
Hey.
Evening all. Yeah, it was a 4th of July weekend. Yep. They came up for the Freedom Fest. Well, let's talk about. We really didn't do anything on the 4th of July.
No, we really didn't.
You know, if I had one.
Well, Skanes came in on the 4th of July, so I was just kind of. Fee came over. We cleaned a little bit, did all that. And then kind of tag team some stuff. And then by the time we were done, that's when everybody started showing up. So the clean house is no more.
Well, I'm gonna say this, guys, but don't think I'm complaining because I'm not complaining. So Darren and Daniel showed up Friday to pick up the trencher and their yard tractor that I was using to mow, and that just kind of shot a hole in my day. I fully planned on getting a lot of work done on Friday, and they stuck around for a couple hours.
Yeah, it didn't help. Well, I felt bad. It was hot outside, so I go out there. You got to be a good hostess, and so I go out there and I'm like, "Hey, why don't y'all come in, sit a spell, get something, and you want something to drink?" And Daniel's like, "Yeah, I'll take some water and some ice water," and we'll say, "Well, we got maybe we have ice. We don't know. It's a guess day to day." And so we were like, just come in. It's cooler. So, then you get to talking.
That took a big chunk out of the day. And No Quarter just popped in. We'll talk about that here in just a second. So, and then Saturday we had the Freedom Fest, and that took a big chunk out of the day. So I didn't get as much work done as I wanted to, but it was still a good day. And No Quarter popped in. This has been a crazy week. Was in the hospital from Thursday to Sunday. Found out that not only are the veins in my left leg blocked with clots, but I have a 6-inch clot in my femoral artery.
Ooh.
All right, listen, you need to make sure you take care of that. Anybody that hasn't been on the channel before, I suffered from I had a blood clot that ran from the back of my left calf all the way up to my midsection.
To his belly button.
There's a certain percentage of the people in the world who your veins go down like this, or the arteries. Your arteries go down like this, and most people,
because it's in the main artery.
They just keep running straight.
Arterial veins.
But I go down like this, and at my hips they cross. So if it starts out on my right side, it ends up on my left side. And just from what the doctor was saying, just statistically, people like me are more prone to blood clots in their lower extremities. So I know exactly what you're going through. You need to make sure you do what the doctors tell you. The everything that they tell you to do is going to suck, but it's going to help you out in the long run.
Yeah.
And get some good compression socks. Seriously, those things go.
You like
great.
the copper fit socks?
Yeah,
those work for you really well.
Found some. Yeah, you know what? I ought to put those on the
Amazon
store.
Uh-huh.
He's making an appointment in the morning with the cardiovascular surgeon.
Don't wait too long, because otherwise you're going to end up in the emergency room.
Yeah,
so really stay on that.
Exactly. That's what happened to me. Well, mine just came on so quick. Mine started.
Oh my God, it did not.
Yes, it did.
Seriously.
I was complaining Friday. I woke up Saturday. And
you were complaining in California. And then we got back from California. And then on Friday you came to me and I said, your leg is twice the size than the other leg. And you were like, well, I'm just going to go to the chiropractor. And I said, that's a mistake. Go to the emergency room And what did you do? You went to the chiropractor.
Well, it's because my sciatic nerve was acting
and
up,
then you
too.
let the chiropractor work on you.
No, she
And-
didn't work on me. She sent me to the.
I thought you said she did.
No, she didn't.
Okay, because when I talked to Dr. Piva, Piva also was under the impression that she did work on you.
Oh, maybe she did.
So, because Piva was really upset about that and said it should have never happened. You should have went straight to the emergency room.
But anyway, so just make sure you take care of that, man. It's not a good thing.
I'm not going back there.
So Skeins showed up. We were talking about your
We were talking about you and the kid.
Your ears burning.
Yeah.
So the big thing around here, the big event this week was, of course, Freedom Fest. And Freedom Fest, we had it over at Rowdy's place, Life Done Free.
Tags.
And we no longer call it the community center. We had it at the warehouse.
Has to be a warehouse.
It has to be called the warehouse.
Maybe we should just call it a barn.
Because it's not a barn. Anyway, the county, we found out that the county called him in and was like, you need to get a special event permit. And he said, why? Because you advertised it on Facebook and you opened up to the public. And to Rowdy's credit, he said, you're not going to tell me who and how I can invite people to my own property. So I'm not paying for an event permit. Just suck it. And something very interesting happened after that.
He had to get an apology.
He got an apology from one of the county commissioners. And it happens to be the one county commissioner
we all want fired.
That we all want fired, and we have been pressuring big time. And he almost got fired last election. Didn't
almost.
He? Well, closer than anybody else. So anyway.
Because Doofus didn't make it.
Anyway.
Dan, he was gone.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's gone.
Anyway, so we went over there and had a great time. Like I said, it was open to the public. There were a whole bunch of people there that we had never met before. Hey, Mississippi Homestead Journey.
Hey.
But a whole lot of people we'd never met before. And it was nice seeing people being involved, like-minded people. And some of them only lived like a mile away from where we were having this. Mm-hmm. And they had no idea that the community was going on and no idea that we do the things that we do. They built a great big redneck slip and slide.
That was awesome.
Took the skid loader and graded. I'm sure if you go over to Rowdy's Live from Friday.
The thing had to have been like 250, 300 feet long.
Yeah.
And it went straight into the pond. So needless to say, to test it, they got on the bicycle, on A's bicycle, and then went down it and then whoop and up. And everybody's like, it's so hot. I'm going to take that. And all the women, I looked at them and like, really? Like, you need to figure out how to jump when you're up in the air to get off that bike. But they had guys down at the pond that were diving in and getting the bike out of the bottom of the pond. It was awesome.
But and then had a really good meal. It was just burgers and hot dogs, but people brought sides and there was good desserts. They did a cake walk, or a pie walk, I guess. What was it?
So it was the pie walk. I told Nikki, I said, hey, bang up job on the whole thing. You obviously are not from the South, and we're going to have to go over the rules of what a cake walk is, not a pie walk. Because the pie walk, it was bad. Like, everybody just gets a pie. Whatever's there. There was like, I think the songs went on, twice? And
no, but they never.
It was really short. It was like 30 seconds long.
They pulled numbers after the first song as an afterthought.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, hey, Gregory, we had the freedom to assemble. The county commissioners just want us to pay a tax for it.
They want money for it.
So we could assemble all we wanted as long as we paid a tax, or Rowdy paid a tax. You know, there was a lot of good conversation. Jim Gale came and spoke. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mr. Gale. He's a very outspoken proponent of tax freedom and food forests. I would highly recommend going out on YouTube and finding some of the stuff that he's done.
Check him out.
He gave a really nice speech. Angela had to work, so she got there late.
I did.
And I really wish
got there by dinner time.
I really wish she had heard him speak, but he he made a comment about not paying property taxes, and I'm go to his channel and see some of his interviews to hear about that. But he asked for questions afterwards, and I asked him flat out. I said, well, what do you say to the people here who don't have the financial wherewithal to weather the government coming after them, for back taxes? And Jim said, well, I don't have the wherewithal either. I've only got a 900 square foot cabin in the Dominican Republic. I let that slide. I don't have a cabin in the Dominican Republic that I can fall back to. All right, so this is my bug out location. I'm not going anywhere. But and he didn't mean it. He wasn't tone deaf to it. And what he said was the key to fighting that is community and being involved in like creating a community and then being involved in the greater community, helping the churches, helping the schools, and making it so that the community is not dependent on the government. And Tag and I.
Oh, that's why you want to take Half Pine Garden to church.
I asked Tag after it was over. I said, what did you think of his answer? And Tag immediately went to the not paying the taxes part, which is understandable. That's not what I was talking about, though. His comment on that was very interesting. He said, I'm not going to do it by myself because there's not enough people to support me here. And by that, he meant if we do it onesies, twosies, that the government will hammer each person individually.
Right.
But if you had 100 families that all of a sudden decided they weren't going to pay property taxes anymore, that's a different story.
That would make an impact.
Yeah, that's a different story. So I completely agree with that. But then I was like, after I pointed out, I said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the being involved. And he made the comment. He said, yes, we need to get more people involved in that and reaching out to the community. And which I find very interesting because Jim's traveled all over the country and all over South America looking to build communities, self-reliant, freedom-minded communities. And he made the comment that what we've done here in northeastern Kansas is unlike anything he's ever seen. And he feels that it's kind of a prototype for what's next. And I agree with him. The entire first half of his talk with everybody, the whole time I was listening to it, I was thinking to myself, that's exactly what I think. And
thank you, Anti. That's awesome. There's your link.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Anti. But anyway, being involved in the community, we always talk about it, but hearing somebody outside come in and say that, and then actually taking part in it, the example that he gave for our community was the Joe Salatin thing, where Joel came in and we went to the local school and everything. That's a huge thing. So
a huge compliment, really.
Well, it's a huge compliment, and it's if you live in a community and you're not involved like it that depth, you're just sitting on the outside watching stuff. I highly encourage you to get in there and get your hands dirty and talk with people, and get out there and help. Verna, one of the ladies that works for the EPA department for the reservation, was there, and she sent me a message after she talked with you.
Oh, did she?
She sent me.
You getting to work now?
She sent me an email. Well, they want to do something with the kids at the end of the month.
Awesome.
About water. So,
yeah, she told me. I told her you were the guy.
Yeah.
They want to learn water catchment, that kind of stuff.
Well, I told her she had give me the points she wants to teach people, and I'd come up with some sort of presentation. But Skeens has a broken space bar. Is that code for something there? Weird one.
Space bar.
See that there's lots of spaces.
Did you see me? Space bar. It's broken.
There's a whole bunch of spaces in that sentence there. No, but it was really nice. I'm not going to lie though. By about 8:00, I was peopled out.
Yeah.
And the good thing about having the animals is I always got an excuse to leave before the night's over.
And then he leaves me. But it was all good because I stayed for the fireworks. Holy smoke, what a show.
Go over to Live Done Freeze page. They filmed the fireworks. And I did not watch.
Did you listen to the songs?
I did not watch the video.
Oh, you got to watch the video.
I didn't watch the video.
I mean, just in the very beginning, you hear Ronald Reagan. And he starts talking back from the Iranian missile crisis. And so it's coming in. So you have that music. And then it starts talking about God, and it starts talking about how our country was developed, and then it goes into God bless America, and like it was amazing. Like I want to say that anyway, any veteran spouse, any veteran's dependent as a kid, everybody had tears in their eyes. Like, of course, I dried mine and started making fun of everybody else. But yeah.
So you got to. There's a point there, no quarter, and they tried guilting me. They're like, "You're going to miss the fireworks," and I'll be honest with you guys. Fireworks don't do what they used to do for me. I saw the ones the week before, and that was enough for this 4th of July.
One you missed. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, we even set the field on fire. We had 3 fires, and the gator was ready to go with the water tank.
Lynn says the government, I can't even read it with my glasses. The government has the advantage of collecting taxes as their day job. For most people, fighting it isn't worth the time, money, or effort. And a couple of K versus 100. Yeah, 100. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's the fireworks link, guys. Go check it out. From what everybody was saying, it was pretty spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, we had so much fun. It was awesome. You hear me in the background. Woo! Yeah. So, other people were too. So, yeah, no, it was amazing.
Yeah. The kids had a great time. There were a bunch of kids from toddlers up to
teenagers. Yeah.
They spent a lot of time in the lake and riding the bike down the ramp and going off the ramp. And of course, we had some adults that were jumping on the bike too and riding down the ramp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
We had some adults that were went home to get their swim gear and instead went in their own pool and then came back. Not going to name any names there, Rebecca. Damn. So anyway,
so yeah, and then Saturday or Sunday, I decided I was going to start tearing the trailer down. The big Detroiter trailer that's sitting out here that's a major eyesore. And I spent about 2.5, 3 hours working on it. Got about 1/10 of it down. Had to stop because it was getting a little too hot. Came inside, cleaned out the back of the house, trying to get ready to work on it. And I must have I must have breathed in something that was bad because yesterday I was in terrible shape.
Well, the thing is, too, the air's been thick with all the fireworks, too. Because I've never had problems with asthma, and I'm not sure if I've got asthma or maybe walking pneumonia, something like that. So I'm self-treating as of right now, and so far it's working good. But unfortunately, I am having to use the albuterol inhaler in order to get a lot of that stuff out. So I'm almost wondering if that couldn't be a hindrance on that. I told him, like, you don't feel like you're getting walking pneumonia, right? You don't feel like your chest is tight, your back is tight, and that kind of thing. He's like, nope. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we'll just see what happens. But I can get you on the Mullen tea, and I got a Mullen tincture too.
I woke up yesterday morning feeling just completely beat up. I fell through the floor because it's rotten on that one end. Fell through the floor, so my ankles were hurting.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah. So both my ankles were hurting. I got scratches all over me.
Babe, we need to
and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse through the day. And
can't we do something? Just kind of burn it down and cut
no.
It? Well, I don't want you to keep getting hurt.
We can't burn it down. We had this discussion, guys. Listen, tell me in the chat.
It's got to be like some way to control.
The building is literally 10 feet away from our building. This trailer is literally 10 feet away from the house, and she wants to burn it down.
Well, I'm just like, not a
Would you-
monster bonfire.
Would you tell her what a dumb idea that is?
Not a monster bonfire. Like, can we do some kind of controlled
No,
burn?
what we do is we tear it apart little by little. I told you
I
that.
hate for you to do that.
But
I
anyway,
think you're going to be so
she
sick.
keeps interrupting me. I'm trying to tell you my story. But
Do you want me to leave the
I
conversation?
want you to let me finish my train of thought.
I think you're getting like really nasty.
I'm not getting nasty.
You kind of are.
No. Anyway, I passed out yesterday when I had the animals out on pasture. I was sitting in a lawn chair or a camp chair, had my feet up on a bucket, and I passed out. Thank God that Dolly was out there, because I was out for about 20 minutes, and she kept the animals in check. But I got done. It was just sheer force of will to get the animals in and get back into the house. And as I'm going by her, I said, "You got to feed the dogs and put the birds away." And I was asleep about 5 seconds after that. Well, not that quick, but it was just a couple minutes after I hit the bed that I was out.
Everybody says no because the wind and all that crap. I did forget about the wind.
But but I felt I got a total of about 8 hours of sleep, which I don't normally do, and I felt way better today. Kind of petered out this afternoon, but compared to yesterday, I'm golden, and tomorrow will be even better. So I just I was telling her, I'll just wear a respirator when I'm out there, so I'm not breathing that crap in, because there's mold.
You got to make sure
There's
Kill has a
dust
respirator.
if he's helping me. Dust, mouse poop, everything. I did find a couple of cool things. I found a 1978 Mrs. Butterworth bottle, and I know it's from 78 because on the bottom.
Here, you want to auction it off? You can auction it off here.
They're not worth it. I looked on eBay.
Oh, what are they?
Yeah, they're not worth it.
No, what are they?
They're like $1.
Really?
$12 if you've got the metal lid.
Oh, I wondered where the lid was. That was sad.
That's 1978. They had plastic lids though. She went. So yeah, found the Mrs. Butterworth's bottle, and right next to it was this beauty. If you guys don't know what that is a 1970s syrup dispenser. And I know this because my mom had one exactly like this. Look, it's even got the little gold stars on it. But the Mrs. Butterworth's gets poured into this, and then you pour that on your stuff. Yeah, and I was like, hey, I'll get on eBay and see how much money we can make. He was
ready to become a millionaire.
Well, I didn't think I'd become a millionaire, but I thought I'd get more than $5 or $6. It's just not worth it at this point. We'll just keep it if I can find a lid, I'll keep as a decanter for my bourbon.
No, you know what we could do when we redo the back of the house, just as a statement for the house? Why don't we put it in the wall?
Nah.
Remember all the stuff we found in the wall, tearing out the office?
Yeah,
at least
junk.
This stuff. Yeah, but this would be cool.
See, Len says his grandma had that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found a glass bundt cake dish. Is that what?
Yeah,
it's not
glass.
It's not Pyrex either. It's glass. That thing is glass, and I don't ever remember seeing one of those. So that's got to be 1960s era.
I would almost say maybe 50s.
Back when syrup was syrup and self-identified as syrup and not as butter. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now it's just racist. So
yeah,
you can't even call it. What's it called now? It's not called Aunt Jemima.
No, that's Mrs. Butterworth.
Mrs. Butterworth got changed too, didn't she?
Oh, they got rid of Aunt Jemima because that's
got rid of Aunt Jemima. Now it's just Mrs. Butterworth.
Beat the Argentina Special Forces. Absolutely. I'll beat them any day with your guys' help. What's up, Spags? But
I hope the kids got full of candy. I was a little worried when I gotta think Fiona kept the back to herself.
Spags, we need an answer for this. Did Fiona bring Skittles to your thing?
Like a giant backpack?
Did she,
and candy necklaces?
Did she bring candy to the thing you guys had?
She was supposed to. I sent a crap ton.
If she did not,
I want to know.
If she did not, we're going to give her crap because that means she kept it for her and her brothers and sisters.
Because I didn't even see it because whatever was left over was supposed to come to July 5th. I was like, take it to Spags first and then bring it on July 5th. What did he say?
If she did, he didn't get any.
Oh, all right.
We are gonna give her so much credit.
Yeah. Oh, she's got a nickname now.
We're
got her a
syrupists.
nickname. Mm-hmm.
Syrup premistus. I don't know how you'd pronounce it.
Yeah.
The skeins I have in antique glass bottles my dad had. Only one was worth money, and I accidentally chipped it. Yeah, isn't that the way it always goes?
Mm-hmm.
Angela inherited some figurines that were made out of Mount St. Helens ash.
Howard Pierce.
Mm-hmm. And you've only got like 1 or 2 pieces left.
Oh no, I should have a whole box out there. Are you trying to tell me something?
No, they kept breaking at the house in Sugar Land. They kept falling off the mantle.
Grandma was replacing some and then sending me others, and then I inherited Mom's and that kind of thing. So I do have quite a few pieces though. But the Mother Mary, that's the one that's the most expensive because that's all Mount St. Helens. But
yeah, Gregory, Skeins and the grandkids camped out in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
They
had a blast.
They had a blast. Homestead twins. What's up, guys? Aunt Jemima turned into pearl milling. Coincidentally, that's always on the expired shelf at the local grocery store. No one knows what it is now.
That's funny.
What was Aunt Jemima? Pancake mix?
No, Aunt Jemima.
I don't think we ever used it. Aunt Jemima was a brand name that we just
Aunt Jemima was a pancake mix, but she went with the Aunt Jemima with the syrup with Miss Butterworth.
Nah, no quarter. That was Sugarland was the name of the subdivision we lived in when we were in Pleasant Hill. He thought we were holding out some shine.
Oh,
but yeah, but it was fun. I found some other things too. I got to go pull. I found some at Collier's. I don't know if you guys ever remember J.C. Penney's and Sears used to have the paper patterns for women's clothes and stuff. Mm-hmm. There's 4 or 5 of them out there that the patterns have never been cut out.
Oh, really?
So I'm wondering if they're not ruined. I'm wondering if they're worth any money.
Make sure they're not moldy. I can't do anything with them.
Well, you're not sewing anyway.
Well, I would be if I had a sewing room.
You've got sewing stuff.
I don't have a sewing room.
You need an entire room to sew.
Yes, I need a cutting. Dude, you know this. I had one.
Hey, All-American. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It's kind of like tearing down that trailer is kind of like a treasure hunt.
Treasure hunt, getting sick apparently.
Never know what you're going to find. I found a couple of children's school desks, which we're going to rehab, and
those will probably go to the schoolhouse.
The warehouse.
The warehouse.
The warehouse. Let's see here. Old marketing trademarks will be back. The shareholders are pissed, and the whole woke thing is in retreat. See Land O'Lakes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, and I heard Uncle Ben's is like they're tooling up to bring that back.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
At least you can recognize the right instant rice to buy.
Yeah. And then let's see what else. What else do we? Oh, built a great bed. We've got an old watering trough that we've had for years. It's the very first one we got when we got animals. Well, the bottom rusted out, and I tried turning it into a planter. Well, the goats and sheep kept getting into it, and it never did grow. So I just kind of let it go the past couple years. And I was like, okay, this year I'm going to do something. So I took and I topped it off with some good compost. Angela has been using the hydroponic thing to sprout out. She had these little starters with cherry tomatoes and basil in them.
And also peppers and basil.
But the took the cherry tomatoes. I put a piece of cattle panel behind it. I built a little fence around it so the chickens and the goats wouldn't get it. Planted them, and it looked really great. Put straw in there. Well, the damn chickens decided that fence wasn't going to stop them, so they literally jumped up over the fence in there and tore all the plants out.
Oh no!
Within 10 minutes of me walking away from it.
You didn't tell me that.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Told you. Anyway,
you just told me I needed to plant more. I wasn't
so.
Sure
So I go looking for replacements. I go to Tractor Supply, and they've got. I was telling her they've got mature cherry tomato plants. I mean, when I say mature, they're like 1.5 feet tall with flowers on them for $10 a pop. And I was like, forget that. I'm not going to do that.
So see that one over there, the one you forgot to take out,
Mm-hmm.
the one I told you to take out, that one, that's only 2 weeks old.
Okay.
So I'll put more tomato seeds in there if you need that.
Well, we're gonna run out of time to plant the cherry tomatoes.
Well, we've got.
Look at Anti's hitting all the links tonight. What's that? Bottles of Aunt Jemima and Mrs. Butterworth. So, yeah. But yeah. So that was frustrating. The animals have been. There's several females in heat out there, so I
noticed.
It's been bad.
Yeah.
You know, just terrible. That, and then we got too many roosters. I've known that for a week and a half, 2 weeks. I've just been putting off finishing a chicken tractor. I think I'm going to do that this weekend.
No, Quarter, we can't do that. I mean, I get it. But we can't do that because we depend on them, and they're more protein than the veggies.
Yeah.
And I know that I can get more up. It's not too late to do tomatoes, so we'll get those. I'll get those done now that I know what's going on. I'm literally seeing a box of seeds that I have over there, so I'll get those done, get those up. They'll be ready to plant here in a couple.
I watched your video on the homemade or the deer-proof tomato cages. That was pretty good there, Len. Yeah, no, that they went right up over the top of it, and I used filled fence.
Why did you put a nut on there?
Well, that's what I'm going to do.
Did you get the netting from B&Tags?
When I plant something in there,
yeah,
I'm going to take a piece of filled fence and cut it to.
You don't need to do that. Of it. We have netting. We have a whole roll. I don't
want to use that. I don't know if we still got that. I don't know if I got.
I don't think I ever picked it up. I think it's still at B&Tags.
No, I think somebody else took it because I went over there and it wasn't there.
Then I will talk to Jen about that because that's ours. I have 2 rolls over there.
Oh, talk to somebody. I don't know. I may have picked it up. I don't know. Oh, Skin's got to go walk the dogs. She must be peopled out. That's the excuse I use. The animals. I mean, I don't want to people anymore. But goodness, what?
Yeah, I totally forgot all about that. Yeah, I'll get with B and figure out where it's at.
I'm just going to use fence. I appreciate all.
That's more expensive. So the netting, the free netting, I would appreciate more.
I appreciate all the suggestions, but I've got a ton of scrap fence. That's
so you're talking about me. Have at it. Nobody else is giving you a suggestion. Who's giving you?
Are you upset because I'm disagreeing with you?
No. Yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah.
I keep telling you I'm going to use fence, and you keep telling me not to.
Whatever you want to do.
You're right. I am going to do what I want to do. Well, guys, Angela just decided to leave the stream, so we'll start talking about the politics and stuff, right? And quite honestly, we're kind of to the end of we're kind of to the end of everything that happened this week. But so yeah, that's what it is. Going forward next week, building the chicken tractor. She's got a one start. I guess it's 2 plants in there for cherry tomatoes. Move forward on that. Going to try to tear down some more of that trailer and start working on the back of the house. All right. So as we've got to this point, let's pay some bills first. All right. Let's see here. Let's do the rock pot. If you guys have never used a rock pot, it's cooking on a rock brought into the space age. They basically, what you do is you heat a rock up, you put it in the bottom of the rock pot, Then you put your pot full of food in there and it cooks it. It's great off-grid cooking alternative. You can get them, use the link right there, link in description, or scan the QR code, and that'll take you to our affiliate, through our affiliate link to them. And as I always say, by helping yourself, you help us. All right. So if you feel inclined and you feel you're looking for a good off-grid solution for cooking, there you go, the Rock Pot. All right, now back to the regularly scheduled programming. All right. So tonight, instead of going all over the place, I want to start talking about an article that was on American Stewards of Liberty. All right, so let me pop this up. Okay, so in this week's edition, they had this article entitled "BlackRock Continues Its March Towards Monetizing Nature," and I read it, and I wanted to share this article with you guys and get your opinions. All right. So I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna give some commentary as we go along. Okay. So it starts out. One of the backers behind monetizing natural processes is the largest investment firm in the world, BlackRock. Earlier this year, they released commentary that notes taxes on externalities, or the natural processes such as pollination, photosynthesis, may be necessary so that investors can profit from natural assets. Let me repeat that again, just so you understand, just so you can. Taxes on externalities or natural processes such as pollination and photosynthesis may be necessary so that investors can profit from natural assets. So basically what they're doing, I got to put my glasses on now so I can read my notes. Actually, let me read on some more. So ASL, which is American Stewards of Liberty, defeated the first major attempt to monetize natural assets last year, forcing the New York Stock Exchange to withdraw its applications to the Security and Exchange Commissions that would have allowed the creation of natural asset companies. The NAC proposed rule would have opened the door for investors like BlackRock or even our foreign adversaries to hold ecosystem rights to private and government-owned lands enrolled in NACs. All of this would have occurred without congressional approval or the consent of the people. Yeah. Let's get there. I can see the comment. What's people haven't figured out that Christian-based agorism is the only answer at this point. Now, you may be right there, Spags. But so anyway, so BlackRock is spearheading this movement to monetize natural assets. We're talking clean air, soil health, pollination, striving to make these things investment opportunities for shareholders. Activists like American Stewards of Liberty managed to block the New York Stock Exchange from creating these NACs. And the question that arises is what does that resistance signal about investors versus public interests? All right, if they were able to fight back on it, what does that say about the popularity of this idea? Okay, so let's go on. Let's see here. NACs were the elite investors' plan to profit from protected lands created by Biden's 30-30 agenda. Defeat of the NACs was a major setback for the environmental agenda. But many entities were still pushing the idea, with BlackRock leading the pack. The natural asset scam is a solution to a problem the climate crisis robber barons have created. First, they manufacture a worldwide problem, the climate crisis. Then they offer the answer they control, putting a price tag on natural processes, elevate companies that buy into the scheme, and push government policies that create customers. The end game is they will own everything while the people have their every breath counted and taxed. In January 2025, BlackRock released an investment stewardship commentary entitled Our Approach to Engagement in Natural Capital. They are marketing their concept to corporations and nations around the world to invest in biodiversity, geology, water, soil, and natural processes like pollination and photosynthesis. In the commentary, they plainly stated there under the heading Changes to Governmental Policy and Consumer Preference, the following position. Although policy actions will likely continue to be uneven globally, we anticipate increased measures that encourage more efficient use of resources, such as the price or tax on the externalities from which many companies benefit, or increased prices for natural resources. Okay, at this point, does that sound familiar? They've created and this is all verifiable. BlackRock is one of the biggest pushes for climate crisis solutions. And so they have propagandized it, and they've got people to buy into this, and they've got governments to change their policies, and now they're offering a solution to the problem. Because the money that they make will go back and help secure all the stuff that's important for climate crisis. And you had the CEO of BlackRock a couple of years got caught on tape saying that they were going to force companies and consumers to do what they wanted simply by making it hard for them to do business if they didn't. So this is nothing out of left field. This has been televised and broadcast for years. So the big question here, these externalities. Here, let's talk about the externalities for a second. These externalities are already factored into the value of the land. They are the natural processes derived from the land, such as pollination, photosynthesis, and clean air. They should never be considered a separate asset because they cannot be contained and the people cannot be prevented from utilizing them. You can't be prevented from breathing air derived from your neighbor's property, for example. But BlackRock thinks that this will happen, BlackRock thinks that this will be possible to measure what you breathe and hope to someday tax you on externalities. So the big question here is does BlackRock's suggested policies, do they pave the way for a license to pollinate or soil credit schemes like the carbon schemes or even air quality credits? And to think that this is a far-fetched idea, we already see things like this in the United States now. State of Colorado, you don't have water rights. Utah, you don't have water rights. You cannot collect water that lands on your property. That's an externality.
Hey.
Or those turkey eggs. Okay. Angela just got some turkey eggs that one of the hens has been nesting on. But and then in Colorado, if you live downstream from a water source, you have to pay a tax on that water that goes back to the people that own the water source. So if there's a spring on your property and it runs downhill, they can collect taxes on that, and it goes back to you in order for you to upkeep the water source and do all that. Here, let me go back. Let me go back and see what we got in the chat. Let's see what I missed. The moment the idea is admitted into society that property is not as sacred as the laws of God, and that there's not a force of law or public justice to protect it, anarchy and tyranny commences. Yes, it already has. It seems like BlackRock is almost everything evil today. Yeah, that's about true, all American. All the air I breathe, government pay tax first. As stupid as that sounds, Gregory, that's kind of what they want. And if you think there's not a precedent out there, Monsanto is suing farmers who like have plots next to their test plots because the bees are cross-pollinating. So these people are getting Monsanto crops in their fields, and so they're suing them. So it's not too terribly far-fetched for something like this to happen, right? Sounds like how you get taxed for airspace in the French Quarter if you have a balcony. Yeah. All right. Let's get back on point. Let's get back onto this. BlackRock's investment stewardship commentary claims agriculture producers are among the top threats these ecosystem services by degrading the soil health and causing nutrient runoff from fertilizer and pesticide use. They promote a more efficient use. Okay, I'm gonna tweak that a little bit. They advocate a more efficient use of resources through government-driven scare tactics like policy changes, tax subsidies, and regulations. Those seeking to own and control our land will never go away. A good reminder that we only have the rights we are willing to defend. Amen to that. So here's some of the other stuff. So, the article claims that BlackRock plans to push the government towards resource use, taxes, subsidies, and regulations, and scare tactics. How transparent is this process, and who ultimately benefits? Now, we've already seen this. This has already been in action multiple times. How transparent is that process? And if it comes to fruition, will the general public have any say in it? And I think we all know what the answer is. And on the matter of ethics and equality, if investors hold legal rights to ecosystem services on public land without democratic oversight, where does sovereignty and public interest stand? If BlackRock owns the property, owns the rights to government-owned property, how much we the people don't own it anymore for all intents and purposes. And you can make the argument that if the government owns it, we the people don't really own it anyway. But still, it becomes even worse. And they identify farmers as the risk. And so if they do this, they're going to target farmers. They're going to target farmers, and farmers have a hard enough time right now. I was talking to one of the guys that raises cattle in our community. They get one paycheck a year. They get one paycheck whenever they sell their animals to the processing house. If they don't have a good year, they're screwed. So it's hard. And then there's other things like I work for the reservation. How are they affected by this? What happens if BlackRock is able to get the rights to the natural resource rights to their land? A lot of these places they really rely on that stuff, and if something like BlackRock is controlling it, then they're just SOL. That our BlackRock's effort part of a broader trend of privatizing common pool resources. I don't know if you guys remember last week we talked about the fact that they took the sale of 3 million acres, something like that. They took the sale of 3 million acres out of the big beautiful bill, the omnibus bill that they just did. Had they done that, these private companies would have snatched that stuff up, and they would have been able to create these NACs much easier because they own that land. The part of them having the government on board is they want to get access to all the government owned land too. Yep, they've been trying to tax cow farts. Well, in Europe, they're destroying the beef and pork industry because of climate change. They say that it's bad for it. So that we joke about cow farts, but realistically, when given free reign, they are destroying industries. They destroyed something like 40% of the cattle and pork industry in the Netherlands just last year. Gregory says the USDA and NRCS have been trying to control farmers and ranchers since the Great Depression and Roosevelt. Yep. Because if you control the food supply, you control the people. All right. So I got a couple more things that I came up with. The key concerns here. Will surveilling ecosystem services using satellite sensors or lead to over governance? Could it benefit finance through a more than restoration, I should say? There's a risk of speculative abuse. How many resources are misused or misused by speculation? If they speculate on these commodities, what makes you think it's not going to happen with these NACs? Let's see here. And the public perception, it's obvious that a lot of people don't like this. You're gonna have the 20 to 30% of hardcore radicals in this country that think that this is a great idea. But framing ecosystem services as externalities ripe for taxation may alienate everyday people who perceive these as commons. Yes, I don't want to be taxed on the air that I breathe, basically. Could rebranding these tax schemes as pollution fighting or eco incentives help, or is it greenwashing? And that's a key. I think that's a key thing right there. Is we have to look where they go forward from or to. I honestly think that they're going to rebrand this as a pollution fighting thing. Here's the thing. Before I ask this last question, speculation has always been in any market. Ask the Dutch and tulips. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's bound to happen. Yeah. No quarter. 100%. In this case, it's not brainwashing. It's greenwashing. But yes, absolutely 100% no quarter. Now here's the big question. Do you trust financial institutions like BlackRock to steward natural resources responsibly? Is it possible to harness private capital for ecological restoration without compromising social justice, transparency, and democratic control? And I use the word social justice in that case, not in the woke definition, but in the true definition of the people owning what they own and not being held hostage by external forces, right? So I personally, I don't trust BlackRock. I don't trust BlackRock as far as I could throw them. Anybody that does is loose, has a nut loose in the head. Google Maps uses satellite maps that the USDA makes through their mapping service. Yeah. Yes, you can. If you want to see Grumpy Acres, go on Google Earth, and you can get a top-down view and see what we've done around here. And it's actually a relatively recent photo. I think it's from early 2024. They're in it to make money. If there was no money to be made, there would be no discussion today. Absolutely. Well, and this goes back. In fact, Jim Gale talked about this. He didn't call it what it was, but he talked about it. I've said it before. Do not mistake the monetary theory of capitalism with the ideology of international capitalism. BlackRock is a adherent and promoter of international capitalism, and in a nutshell, that everything has a value, and you put a value on it, and it can be traded, sold, bought, whatever. And even the people, even we have value. International capitalism is why Google and YouTube and Amazon and all these other companies can make money off of our data that they collect on all these social media sites. BlackRock has too much power, absolutely. But you know what? We live in a free society, and I don't know. I'm not going to go there. It's not BlackRock's job nor duty to do any of that. It's a fiduciary. They risk a lot, even trying. Their shareholders are the problem. Government permissions or government pensions, i.e. the Dems. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you say the Dems, there's a whole lot of Republicans in that pile too there, Len. Whole lot of Republicans. You know, it's just, it's good that they were able to stop this. Seriously, it's good that they were able to stop this, but they're going to come back. They're going to change tactics. They're going to reframe it as a environmental issue, and they're going to push it that way. So the fight's not done. So keep your eyes open, keep your ear to the ground, and you know this is one of the things I really like. I really like the American Stewards of Liberty email letter that they send out once a week, because it's got really good stuff on there. You know, that was one of the points on their newsletter this week was, now that the omnibus bill's passed, that Congress needs to get down to codifying the changes that get rid of all the waste that Doge found at the beginning of the year. And if they don't do it before October, it's nothing will be codified into next year's budget, and they're going to go into the midterms with that hanging around their necks like an albatross, right? So they need to get it done. So we need to lean on our representatives and senators and tell them to get the job done. No quarter, careful, I have a government pension. Well, I'm about to get a refund on that since I was laid off on July, and that sucks. You know, well, and yes, I'm not going to say government pensions are the problem. It's the people that push them and use public labor unions to basically the people that work for us are going against us when it comes to arbitration on salaries and stuff. Well, that was a hard thought for me to get out. You know, okay, so we got that out of the way. So the next thing I want to talk about is, did you guys hear about what happened at the Prairie View detention facility down in Texas on 4th of July? There's a Mike Shelby over at Forward Observer did a great video on it today. He broke it down and talked about it in depth. I highly recommend everybody go over there. He confirmed some of the stuff that I kind of thought, and he added a lot of depth to it. Basically, what happened was on the evening of July 4th, about 10 people went down to the detention facility and started shooting fireworks at the building. 2 of them peeled off, went over and started spray painting on government vehicles. There were 2 unarmed ICE officers that came out of the building to confront these people, and they had called a local police officer. Well, when the police officer got there, multiple gunmen started shooting at them from a nearby woods. They ended up hitting the police officer in the neck. Didn't kill him. He's okay, thank God. But they found an AR-15 style rifle that was jammed in the bushes, and they ended up arresting 10 individuals and charging them. Right now, they're charging them with 3 counts of attempted murder of federal officers and 3 counts of using a firearm in commission of a violent crime. And the reason why they're getting everybody in that, it's kind of like the drive-by shooting thing. If you're riding in a car and a drive-by shooting takes place out of it, you are just as guilty as the person that fired the gun. So that's how they charged them. But this is a change. So 2 weeks ago, there was a lone gunman that tried ambushing ICE officers at another place in Texas. He got smoked. I was going to post a picture of the guy laying on the ground dead, but I decided no, that's a little bad taste. You know, we shouldn't be dancing on their graves. But this latest one, this is a more complex attack. Some of them were wearing body armor. They planned it. They waited in ambush until the police officer arrived, and then they attacked them. This is a more complex ambush than some guy standing behind a pillar outside the ICE office. This is an escalation. This is a seminal event in America right now because. Hang on a second. What?
Did what happened by mom and dad's place?
No, that was something that was something
Well, I
else.
know it's a different state, but kind of the same thing.
No, that was a disgruntled liberal.
Oh, you got the details on
Yeah.
that?
So anyway, Mike Shelby made the point that them being hit with federal charges will probably put a damper on most people that will partake in that. But what's going to happen is people are going to use this and they're going to refine their tactics, and it won't be 10 people, it'll be 2 or 3 people doing it. This is a standard guerrilla tactic where you create chaos and then you attack the first responders that come in. Just like Angela made the point about the shooter up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, that killed the 2 firemen. He was a radicalized, disgruntled liberal that was mad at mommy and daddy, from what they found out. So that's why he did it. He just wanted to be famous. These people wanted to kill officers. Now, Mike makes the point that we're very low on the insurgency guerrilla ladder. We are not on the verge of a civil war in the United States right now, just plain and simple. The left isn't ready for it. The left is preparing for it, but they are not completely ready. I've talked about it before. You can see it in the videos of their rallies and everything. They are becoming better equipped, better trained. You know, and again, if they're willing to do this right now when the rule of law still applies, what makes you think that when the Democrats get in power and they're unleashed like they were in 2020 and 2017, what makes you think that they won't be 10 times worse? Seriously. And quite frankly, these type of radicals, whenever they figure out that government targets may be too much, there's a distinct possibility that they may come after groups like ours. That Freedom Fest thing, it would have been a very bad day for them, but that's a prime target. And there are people out there that do the same thing that we do that are going to be more prime targets, more not prime. They're going to be looked at as easier targets than a government facility someday. So, you know, if you're out there in a homestead, in your homestead group, or you're in a preparedness group, you need to be practicing. You need to be practicing on defense. You need to be practicing on intelligence. This is all the stuff that we talk about in the full spectrum preparedness videos, which, by the way, the next one is tomorrow. I haven't posted the link for it yet, but we're going to talk about the first aspect of full spectrum preparedness, and that's going to be food in the urban environment. So if you guys get in there and subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber, hit that notification bell so you know when these videos come out. But anyway, just be prepared, guys. Seriously, I don't want to black pill you. I'm not going to use scare tactics. It's just a matter of prudence at this point. All right. And not everybody's going to be a gunner. Not everybody's going to be a trigger puller. Not everybody's going to be a door kicker. Everybody has a role in community security.
Did you ask them about me do they want just a video or a live stream on Chrome?
Okay. Angela had a question she wanted me to ask you. So, as part of her job, she is seeing a marked increase in financial fraud, and she was wondering if you guys think it would be beneficial to have a video or a live stream discussing this and basically giving you things you can do to secure your identity and secure your financials. She was wondering if that there would be interest in that. And if there is interest, would you rather have it just a standalone video, or would you have it as a live stream so she could take questions and answers? Personally, I think the question and answers thing probably more beneficial. Maybe if we wait, we could do that as an offshoot of the financial preparedness whenever we do that.
If you want to, that's fine.
But so give that a thought. If you don't answer here, wait till the video's over and put it down in the comments below. And tell me what you think about a financial fraud defense video, defense lesson, if you will. All right. The next thing that happened this week, the flood down in Texas. First off, did you guys watch the video of that? There was a I don't know where the camera was. I don't know if it was on a helicopter. It looked like it was a static, like CCTV video on a bridge, and the timestamp on it, in less than 10 minutes, the Guadalupe River went from in its banks to almost 20 to 30 feet out of its banks. It was insane to watch this video, how quickly it happened.
See how many people
And they've got the death toll up to 109. I feel sorry for the parents that lost their children at the camp. Yeah, it was just it's a terrible thing. So you need to put your prayers out there for these families that lost people. Okay, and with that said, liberalism is a mental disorder, because there are people out there that are using what happened as an excuse to attack President Trump and to say that Republican Texas got what it deserved because they voted for Trump.
Are you kidding me?
They're literally saying this is God punishing Texas. Okay, let's set aside the fact that I remember multiple times people in Texas getting killed in flash floods because they camp right down on the river during the wet season. It's not a new thing, okay? But to dance on the graves of these people and use it as an excuse or as a reason to attack conservatives and to attack President Trump is disgusting. And if you run across anybody that does this, and quite frankly, I hope that you don't associate with anybody that has this mental disorder, because it's dangerous. But if you run across anybody like that, you need to set them straight, and don't do it nicely. Seriously, holding these people accountable for what they say is very important nowadays. We need to mock them when they need to be mocked, and we need to call them out publicly in front of people whenever it happens. It Skins is right. It turns your stomach. It makes you sick. And it's with that said, there are people on the quote unquote right side of the aisle that do the same stuff, and we need to call them out too. And the people that do it like that on the right side of the political spectrum are few and far between. And whenever that does happen, they do get called out. But a lot of the people are like, well, conservatives complained about California and said Californians deserve what they got. You know what the difference is between the fires in California and the flood in Texas? Number one, in California, the policies of the state set up that disaster. The policies of the state and the policies of Los Angeles made something that was preventable happen. All right. The flood here, they said, oh, there weren't people working at the National Weather Service, the NOAA office. You know what? I saw video screen captures of the flash flood warnings that went out. Right? Oh, this is climate change. We pulled out of the climate accords, and this is the result. There's nothing you can do about floods. All right, and again, well, you know what? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Whenever you know for a week or two ahead of time that a major hurricane is going to hit New Orleans, and New Orleans is below sea level, and there's a chances are it's going to flood, you could evacuate. If you don't evacuate, that's a government problem. This hill country disaster that there's the link, anti found the link for it. This happens, and it happens so quick. If you did not pay attention, or you did not get the flash flood warnings, and apparently they sent it out over the EAS system on the phone. So
the girls' camp should have been canceled. They should have been sent back home.
Or they should have been evacuated whenever that stuff came out.
They had a week's notice.
But it was just it's sickening. Let's see. Skane says, please explain how you could possibly relate this to racism. Their ignorance is astounding. Well, you know what, Skanes? It's not ignorance. It's not ignorance. It's their belief system. Now, it is an ignorant belief system, but they truly believe this stuff. This is not, all but the higher echelons that are in it to make money, like the Obamas and the Pelosi's and stuff. They know exactly what they're saying. But your rank and file liberal they're true believers. The people that are out there on TikTok talking about this and repeating what's told them by the talking heads and the politicians, they are true believers. And again, that goes back to being dangerous. All right. They are dangerous. I find it very hard to watch coverage on the Texas flood. My heart goes out to all that are affected. So saddening. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something. It's something. In fact, one of the things I as I was doing research for tomorrow's video, or tomorrow's live stream, was I kind of got curious, and I got online and I started looking at a breakdown of the supply chain, how it stands now after Hurricane Helene. And North Carolina and Tennessee are still having a problem. The supply chains are still broken after how many months? 6 months after that hurricane. Natural disasters like this do so much damage. I mean, beyond the toll in people, it does so much more damage. And these people are going to be suffering for months, if not years on end, because of this. And I'm not talking about the parents will suffer the rest of their lives, but the people that didn't lose anybody, just lost property, are gonna suffer. So we need to say prayers for them, and if you can at all possible, help. Let's see. Lynn says, by the way, they watch stuff like this and think the same about us. We're nuts. They're sure round and round we go. Yeah, the one difference there, Lynn, is being a patriot is not a mental disorder. They can try to make it a mental disorder, but it's not a mental disorder. And the people on the opposite side of the modern left do not celebrate mental disorders, and our policies are not built around kowtowing to the mental disorders and promoting them. So there's the difference. They can, and they don't think the same way about us. They feel the same way about us. All right, you got to use the right words. So yes, they can feel all they want, and that's fine. But we know what the score is, and deep down inside, so do they. That's why there's so much cognitive dissonance on the right. Or I'm sorry, on the left. Boy, take that quote out of context, man. If there's any lefties out there watching this and you want to get me, use that little tongue slip right there. You know, I don't know. It's just something to think about, and something we need to be aware of. You know, and since we're talking about the coverage of this, and we're talking about the coverage of the ICE thing, here's something that I've been delving into. You know, all these things that we watch on the news and YouTube, these give us little dopamine hits. There's good dopamine hits and there's bad dopamine hits. Quite frankly, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, nightly news, all these dopamine hits that they give us are basically like fast food. They're empty calories. So you need to make sure if you're consuming a lot of social media and it's coming off negative, first off, put your damn phone down. Walk away from it for a little while. Go out and look up in the sky and get some sun on your face. It'll go a long way towards helping you. And you know, don't let it consume you. All right. And the next thing is, if you are going to watch YouTube, the algorithm's gonna show you more of what you watch. So make sure that what you're watching is constructive. I noticed over the weekend, I trended down some very dark places. And so the last couple of days, I've been purposely getting content that will help make me a better person, motivate me better in doing this stuff. So you need to make sure that you're doing that. Okay. That mental health is extremely important. The plurality, that's a hard word. Plurality that is in this country is really scary. Absolutely. Skanes doesn't have time for watching this stuff. Well, thank you for showing up here. Thank you for carving out some time in your busy schedule, Skanes, and being here with us tonight. Okay. There's actually a psychological disorder. The most incompetent cannot comprehend that they are incompetent. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Absolutely. And unfortunately, the society that we live in promotes people to the highest level of their incompetence. And we see that in Congress. We see that in business. We see it all over the place. And in a nutshell, what Lynn's saying is stupid people don't know they're stupid. You know, so we may be sitting here thinking that we're smart. We may be suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? This is why I always say multiple sources. Don't get your news from one source. Get multiple sources. Verify it. If you run across something that you read or see that inflames your passions, stop and think about who benefits from you being angry about it or worked up. Skane says they show her crap completely unrelated to what I watch. Oh, there's something in the algorithm that has tied what you watch to that. You know, it's probably an ancillary thing, and the algorithm is going to try to guide you down the path that's going to make YouTube the most money. You know, it works in reverse. Smart people doubt themselves more than they should. Well, damn, Len, I must be extremely smart because I am full of self-doubt most of the time. I want to make sure I don't screw things up. Had a neighbor tell me that stupid people hire stupid people. Yeah. You know what? There's wisdom in that. There is wisdom in that. Well, because stupid people don't want anybody that's gonna make them look stupid, right? And so they're always gonna hire somebody. I worked in places that had people like that in there. You know, I worked for a company over in Overland or Leawood, Overland Park. Yeah, someplace over there. That the CIO was a moron, and he would not interact with the IT staff, even though he was the CIO, because we made him look like a moron, and he knew it. So he hired a couple of people that were sycophants and did not know what they were doing, just so he could feel good about himself. And that was not an enjoyable place to work most of the time I was there. Just put it that way. Okay, guys, listen, we're going on 120 minutes here. We've been at this for 2 hours. I covered what I wanted to cover, the three major topics tonight. The BlackRock thing. Again, go out and if you're not subscribed to American Stewards of Liberty newsletter, they put out a pretty good newsletter. Do that. Be on the lookout for the left, and you're going to see telltale signs of it in the news reporting and in social media. But you're going to see the left become more organized in its attacks. And one of the reasons why this is happening, why it's getting more violent, is because the left has held power in this country basically for the last 60 to 70 years. Sure, we've had some conservative Republican presidents, but the deep state, the bureaucracy, the businesses are all controlled by leftists, and they are losing their control, and they are becoming more and more desperate to maintain control, and they will resort to violence at as many different levels as possible. Skane says the algorithm tries to send things that polar opposite of what she believes. Well, you must be clicking on something there, Skanes, because it wouldn't be serving them up to you if it didn't think you were a willing participant. Skanes is going to be loading the trailer up because we can't get rid of her, guys. She keeps coming back time after time after time. She keeps coming back, and she's going to bring stuff up again. I'm joking, Skanes. We love having you up here. And then the last thing was the whole flood down in Texas. Number one, how quickly it happened just shocked me. I'll be honest with you. And I've seen flash floods like that before in the desert, and it just always amazes me. And then the way it was covered and what people have said about it afterwards is just disgusting. So I just wanted to point that out, because it goes back to the whole propaganda and the world isn't what we think it is video series that we did, the Second Chance to Say No. It all goes back to that. All right. Well, listen, if you made it this far and you're not a subscriber, think about subscribing. We do this, try to do Homestead update at the beginning, and then second half I'm allowed to rant about things that I want to talk about. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, comment, guys. Listen, I really like hearing your comments after the fact. If you're watching this on replay, jump down in the comments and let me know what you think. If you want to help the channel, help yourselves, go down into the links below in the description down there and hit our affiliate links. Go check out the Grumpy Acres General Store on Amazon. I just made another idea list today for all the communications gear that I bought off of Amazon, or items that I bought that are on Amazon, but I bought them someplace else. There's some good, useful communication stuff there. Again, any money that we make this way, we try to put it right back in the channel and right back into the Grumpy Acres Farm LLC. So it is appreciated. It's not going to waste. We're not doing what the leftists do and spending it on gold chains and sneakers or trips to Palm Beach, right? Miami, so we really, just by showing up, we really appreciate your guys' support. And with that said, I want you guys to go out and just, well, you know what? I had something else here. Hang on. Oh no, it's not in this one. I was trying to formulate a call to action for tomorrow night's live stream at the end. And I think I came up with a pretty good one, but I don't have it here and I don't remember it off the top of my head. It's all, I got to write this stuff down or I forget it, guys. Anyway, Angela wants you to be 10% better than yesterday. I want you to wake up tomorrow and go live a life done free. Can't unsee me. Well, you know what? It's a good thing that you can't unsee me because you never will see me in a Speedo. All right, guys, take care and go live a life done free tomorrow.
Do you ever think about living in a world where we don't have access to modern medicine anymore?
Infections just aren't going to heal themselves. They're just not going to magically get fixed.
These medications will become life-saving for you and the people you care about. And it's all done online through the Jace Medical portal.
This kit right here, it's called the Jace case.
Jace Medical, they can supply you with emergency antibiotics.
If somebody gets really sick, that might be the only thing that can save their life.
And it's full of the top 5 antibiotics that we would need in an emergency situation.
It's an actual doctor that's prescribing you to this. It can be tailored for you specifically.
Getting our Jace case was super simple. We just went on their website, filled out a short form. It was reviewed by a board-certified physician, and then he wrote the prescription and mailed this to us from a real pharmacy.
This is a great addition to your medical kit.
And it's